bougie, bougie. This is just a story of why I'm here now in the UK, in Chester, my best friend's house. Okay, so quite a few people since I uploaded my first video messaged me saying they didn't even realise that I was back in England. The last that they'd heard is that I'd moved to China, which obviously was the case last August. So I thought I'd do a video on how I came back and why I'm back. The majority of my summer consisted of packing up everything that I owned, selling a lot of things, and getting ready to do undoubtedly the bravest thing I have ever done to date. My stomach, did you hear that? Hopefully not. Not a day goes by that I regret the decision that I made to move to China. It was the most eye-opening thing, the best experience for me, I think. Don't get me wrong, it was the hardest thing I've ever done, the hardest thing I've ever done, but I wouldn't have changed it for the world. Needless to say, January rolls around, which is the Chinese New Year, and it falls in line with the lunar calendar, which is different to our Western calendar. So I was granted 10 days holiday. Well, 10 days off, and then you can choose what you want to do. A lot of people stayed in China, but most people that I know went away, travelling on holiday, or went home. I knew I didn't want to go home. It's just not something that I wanted to do for my first proper holiday there. About 6 weeks earlier, I'd had some time to go and visit my friend Lucy in Shenyang, and we had the most wild weekend, which is exactly what I needed. I needed to let off steam, and it was insane. And I need to do a different story time on me getting lost in Shenyang with no phone and how I made it back out alive. But that's another time. That's another time. That's another time. So when I was there with her, we were talking about what we're going to do for, we had a few days over Christmas. We decided to hire an Airbnb in a place called Harbin, which is the coldest place in China. There's like ice sculptures and ice festival. It was -20 when I was there, which is just mind-blowing. And I went there for the few days that we had off for Christmas, which was like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But it was the best time ever, and I met some incredible people. And when I was in Shenyang, as well as deciding that for Christmas, I spoke to Lucy about what she was doing for Chinese New Year, and she said, I'm really not sure yet. I just know that a few people are going to the Philippines. Anyway, cut a long story short, it wasn't the Philippines that we ended up going to, and the group shrunk because the group originally were a lot of the boys who wanted to go to Manila and go gambling, and I knew full well that I wanted to go to somewhere to relax and drink and chill in the sun and swim and meet people. Separately, we decided to look into Cambodia. The whole process of researching up to Cambodia, I'll hold my hands up, I, out of the group, was not a main contender for the research. But I am so happy with how it turned out. So happy. So we booked to stay at Mad Monkey Hostel in Koh Rong Samloem, and we're booked to stay for the 10 days. Like I said, I'm going to do a whole video on Cambodia separately, just because I feel like it's necessary. So when I was away, obviously in Cambodia, I received an email from work, and they said, news has broken that we've had this outbreak of this virus. And obviously every day more news would come out that people in China were having to self-isolate and quarantine themselves. It's just not the life that I wanted. It was a few days before I was due to fly back to Nanjing, and my brain just melted. I wanted to stay there on the island. I wanted to stay on the island. That is the honest truth. I wanted to stay on the island. I loved it there, loved the people, and I was becoming a version of myself that I'd never been before. As hippy-dippy as that sounds, oh, I was just the happiest. What do? Do I stay here, or do I go back? I literally had this little hand luggage. What's going through my mind at that point was, I was just going to ride it out. You know, the virus can't last that long. So that's where I was in my mind at that point. But I got on the flight. It was a layover in Phnom Penh, which is, I'd been at that airport to get to Sihanoukville. So I knew where it was and how long it was going to be. It was like an hour's flight until we landed in Phnom Penh. And the whole hour, in my head, I was going through scenarios of, do I get off here in Phnom Penh? Do I fly to Nanjing and then go to the UK? But I was just terrified of having to have 2 weeks on my own in isolation. I know that that would have messed with me, messed with my head, and it's just not something that I felt positive about at all. So when we touched down in Phnom Penh, I got off the flight. I just got off the flight. Off the flight. Off the flight. I just got off. I'd researched on the airport Wi-Fi. The hostel that we'd stayed at on the island, it was the same hostel, but in the city. The best decision I ever made. So I literally felt free and like spontaneous, and it was really working for me. I was feeling great. There's a few things I needed to do. I needed to get money out, so I needed to find an ATM. I needed to find a tuk-tuk who knew where I wanted to go, and obviously get there and for there to be space for me. I heard that a few people had had trouble. Obviously my card was a Chinese card, so it only is accepted by a few ATMs. To find one that was compatible, withdraw money, went to a tuk-tuk and said, "Mad Monkey?" He's like, $10. No, $5. Like, no, $10. And I said, "That's fine, my friend." And we hop into a tuk-tuk. I had never been in a tuk-tuk before, and I know that they're super popular, but they're not popular in Nanjing. I know that there's some in Beijing, seen on in England, and I've just never been on one. And my mind was blown. I was in the back of this tuk-tuk holding onto my hand luggage, like, with a face mask on. It was mad. And time went by. I think it could have been like 20 minutes, 25 minutes. I was just taking it all in at that point, thinking, where am I? This is somewhere I never even knew existed. Almost like shantytown, but like electronic stores, and it was all a mismatch. It was crazy. The best place I've ever seen. And there's videos, and I might put them up on the end of this, of like motorbikes literally driving right next to you, and they're all just interweaving in between. It's mad. It's mad. During that third week, I was really contemplating what I was going to do, because originally, obviously, like I said, I was going to fly back to China when the virus got a little bit better, but that never happened, as we now know. So I was just waiting it out, you know, doing what I can, earning money here and there. Luckily, I met some incredible people. It changed my life. And honestly, my experience wouldn't have been the same without you guys. And I can't wait to see you all again. Very soon, hopefully. On that third week, I was getting really stressed. What am I going to do? Because inevitably I was running out of money. Even though it was slowly, it was still happening. And I knew I was going to get paid on the 10th of February. On the 8th or the 9th, something happened to me. And I felt like my temperature was above what it should have been. Bearing in mind, I was hungover every day because I was drinking every night. But I just felt like I was too hot, and it was making me paranoid, because obviously I knew one of the symptoms was a fever. So I went to reception and asked the woman to check my temperature, which they did. They did that for everyone. And it was 37.5. And I knew that the fever cutoff was 38. So I just became paranoid. So paranoid. Same day I got a little infection in my eye, so my eye was like weeping, and I thought, this is it. This is it! Jesus, take the wheel! I am ready. I thought, if I'm going to get sick, I want to be around my family. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to fly back to China and end up in a Chinese hospital, which I cannot deal with, as we've already found out beforehand when I lost my voice the first time. So I just thought, what am I going to do? So I got paid on the 10th, and on the same day, I said to myself, I'm going to look at a flight. I'm going to see the situation for flying back to the UK and go home for a bit. All the while, might I add, every time I've gone to book a flight, I've booked it and cancelled it because I wanted to extend my stay and wait out the virus. This one I was like, am I really going to go? Got on the flight and I booked myself some bougie seats on Qatar Airways. Beautiful. The day that I was due to go, the girl at reception, I love her, she said to me, are you sure you'd be able to board that flight? Because seeing people who have come from China, tried to go back to the UK, and they've not been able to board. And so that sent me into a panic as well, because I thought, what if I get all the way to the airport and then they just don't let me on the flight? But then my backup plan was I was just going to go back to the hostel, which would have been fine. and try and get my money back for my flights. Got on a flight, and thankfully I could count on a really good friend to pick me up from the airport, and they took me to Brooke's house, which is where I am now. And on a side note, all the time I was away, Brooke's fiance had been messaging me like, "You're coming home, you need to come home, I can't believe you're not home, come home now." And I'm like, no, I'm really enjoying my life, although it's really hard, I'm doing what's best for me. Brooke's been my best friend for almost 10 years, and Gilly's made me feel part of the family, and I couldn't be more grateful. Although, I absolutely know I will never make a good mum. Big sister, I've got those qualities all there. I could be the best big sister to anybody, but I am no good at motherhood, which is cool. But I absolutely love living here. Living here again is going to be another story. I just wanted to tell you how I got back to England. Now I'm here. And my plan is to work as hard as I can, save as much money to go travelling after my friend gets married later this year. So hopefully travelling in October, November, December, January, February, and then Brooke and Gilly get married in March. But I don't know. I don't know what's happening. With everything that's going on, it gives you too much time to think, I think, is a problem. Because do little things like watch the telly, clean the house, go for your daily walk. If you're someone like me, you eat way too much, which is why I look like a hamster. We addressed that on an earlier video. All I know is that I sort of need to keep in touch with my creative side, which is why I've started these. I'm a creative person, and that's what I'm lacking. I've said that so many times to so many people. Sorry. My working really hard to save money plan is on hold for the time being, but I can't wait to get back to work. Cannot wait. Because I have that goal in mind, I think if I didn't have the goal of travel, I'd be enjoying right now more than I am. Don't get me wrong, it's amazing, and to be here with these people and Leo every day, I wouldn't change it for the world. It's a roller coaster, that's for sure. It's a roller coaster for me personally. I'm a parent, and aside from everyone and their dog trying to become a TikTok star, that's what I'm doing in England. That's it. That's it. Working. When all this is over, will someone take me on a date, please? Because I miss dating so much. I just want to feel fancy and have a glass of wine with someone I can chat the ears off, who will actually respond to me, not just a camera who won't say anything. Also, if you're wondering what is going on with all of this, I'll let you into a secret. I don't care. I don't care. My skin, adult acne or something. My hair, my roots, but it's okay. It doesn't matter that I wake up with no eyelashes. I have to put these crusty, no, not really crusty, £2 eyelashes on. Although I did get these bomb sunglasses. What can do? Who you talking to? For the past 2 days, I've had cornrows in. 4 cornrows. Who do I think I am? Oh no, that's not what happened. That's me.